Hey folks, Marty Nowicki here. Going to start something new for 2013. We're going to do a weekly, about an 8 to 12 minute blog. Talk about what's going on in the world of golf. We're going to call this No Mulligans because I'm only shooting it once. If I have a blunder somewhere in here, guess what? You can post clips on YouTube and make fun of me. No big deal. But purpose is going to change from week to week. Some weeks we're going to talk about equipment. Some weeks we're going to talk about short game or putting. Some weeks we're going to talk about full swing. Some weeks we might analyze some video. So any given weekly blog is going to be a little different. And I'll be sending out my YouTube page and my YouTube link for the blog each week. Right now there are no major sponsors, but I might mention some people that have helped me out in the past and give them a shameless plug. So that being said, today we're going to talk about just a couple things regarding the full swing, regarding some power. Right now it's the middle of winter, it's almost New Year's, we got 1.5 feet of snow on the ground up here. Fortunately we've got a great dome here at Turning Stone that we can hit some golf balls out of. And this week, we're just going to analyze video. All the major guests were not available. And that's one other thing we're going to do with this show is we're going to have some guests. I hang out with some pretty smart people. Mark Sweeney from Aim Point, we might get him on here. Craig Farnsworth, the putting doctor, amongst others. So that being said, we're going to focus in on the screen up top. And we're going to look at a couple key power elements in the golf swing. We got Robert Garrigus here on the left. Robert's one of the longest hitters on the PGA Tour. And we're going to talk about a few things. And I've put some other videos out here so that if you're not understanding what I'm going to say right now, I've got some other videos that are I've posted both on my YouTube page and on my website, martynowickigolf.com, that can help people out. There are 4 main levers that we utilize for power in the golf swing. Number 4, and a gentleman by the name of Homer Kelly numbered these. Number 4 would be the left arm. All right. Number 1 would be the left wrist, and I'm going to kind of put players in certain positions. So Tiger here has employed both number 4 and number 1. That's Tiger on the right, Robert Garrigus on the left. Number 2 would be the bend in the right arm, so that line that I'm drawing on Robert Garrigus' elbow. Tiger has already bent his right arm to get to that position. Alright, and I'm using these 2 videos because you'll see some pretty cool stuff on how the golf swing works. So Tiger, we've got left arm, number 4, left wrist, number 1, right arm, right elbow, number 2. And they are all loaded right now. Granted, a couple of these players do some things with their body that we will expand on in future blogs. Right now I want to just talk about what the arm's role is, because there's a basic geometry to impact. And the geometry involves what I like to refer to as a lowercase letter Y. So if we were to look at Tiger at impact, and it wouldn't matter if we were chipping a ball, pitching a ball, full swinging with a 5-iron off the ground, or hitting a driver. The basic geometry is true for good players. Lowercase letter Y. The leading arm, lever number 1 or lever number 4, is out ahead of the golf club. So if I just drew a line down his left arm, connected the club in his right arm, you'd see a reverse K. I've seen some articles written about that in the past. And this right here, left arm out ahead, club trailing. Now, how does he get there? So at this point, he still has some bend in his right arm and some bending in his left wrist. So we've got number 4, his left arm. Number 1, his left wrist. Number 2, his right arm. So as he's coming into the ball, if we go frame by frame, once the butt end of the club gets close enough to the ball, the wrists start to uncock. more rapidly. Alright, but at this point he still has some wrist cock, as evident by where his left arm is, where the club is. He still has some bend in his right arm, as evident by the bend that we see here. Also, in the case of Garrigus, here comes Robert Garrigus down, there's his left arm, there's his right elbow. Boom, he's loaded for power. So clearly we can see that there's some bend right in here. And we would want that. If your right arm wasn't bent, you wouldn't be able to put out the energy as if it were bent. So, as they're coming into the ball, hands keep moving forward, the wrists are uncocking. It's only after the point of the ball do both arms reach full length. Here's Garrigus on the left. So it hits the ball with that basic geometry, lowercase letter y. Beyond impact, that's when the right arm reaches full length. You can also see some rotation, which would be the last power element. From a definition standpoint, our industry really doesn't, we don't have a set glossary of terms, and that's one purpose of this blog, is so people can at least start speaking the same language. The language that we're going to refer to comes out of Homer Kelly's book called The Golfing Machine. Homer was a Boeing engineer, 1968, wrote a great book called The Golfing Machine, and he started to define positions. When both arms are straight, he called that the follow-through. Alright, so anything beyond that really is inconsequential to the hit, but anything beyond that would be the finish. So as we look at these players coming in, there's our geometry. The leading arm is out ahead of the golf club. We've got leverage now to hit up against something. Left arm being ahead of the golf club means that we still have some energy there. We also need to brace for the impact. Boom, Tiger just hit the ball. If his arm were anywhere other than where it is, he would not have enough resistance for impact. You'll see a little bend in the right wrist, as evident with Robert Garrigus and with Tiger. You'll see a little bit of bending right here in the wrist. Tiger's ball has already launched, Robert's has not. And that's the basic geometry of impact. Chipping would be exactly the same geometry. So I'm going to have AJ move the camera a little bit to focus in on me. Drop my microphone. So if we were chipping a ball, ultimately lever number 4 would be swinging, but we're really not driving a lot of power from it. Lever number 2, the right arm, is more or less going to pull and push the left arm, and I would hit chip shots the exact same way. If anyone gets bored up here in the snow and you want to get creative and get better at your game, practice a few little chipping motions in your living room. When the club hits the ground, there's going to be a basic resistance, meaning the club hits the ground similar to the way a broom would sweep a floor. Alright, I couldn't sweep a broom in any other fashion, couldn't sweep a floor in any other fashion than how I'm doing it. Anything else would just flick dirt all over the place. So you can make your wives happy and sweep the kitchen floor practicing your short game. And ultimately what we're looking for is when you're done, there should be a basic geometry here. We should be able to maintain this lowercase letter y. Far too often, the thing that differentiates a good player from a lesser caliber player is the ability to control certain body parts. And today we're really focusing on the mechanics of what the arms actually do. So my right arm is pulling and pushing the left arm. The left wrist, a nice simple image is, imagine I put a plaster cast on that left wrist. You note that I don't have any wrist cock. That would be more for power. This is just more for chipping and pitching. We want to control distances. So I'm pulling my left arm back, pushing it forward, pulling it, pushing it. If you've ever pushed a kid on a bike or a kid on a sled, or a car out of a snowbank, boom, you're pushing with bicep, tricep muscles and from the shoulder. So the right arm will push and pull. We've got our basic geometry. Right? The whole idea here is if I have a ball that sits on the ground, AJ, if you want to zoom in on that, every week we're going to get a little bit of help from the staff members here. The whole purpose, if I have a ball that sits on that line, like this one, well, we need to catch the ground where that line is or beyond it. Any other geometry doesn't work. So if my hands are back here, guess what? The club's going to hit the ground back there. My hands have to be out ahead, which requires this wrist to be flat and the arm itself to be out ahead of the club. If we were playing hockey, we'd see the same geometry. If we were playing baseball, we'd see the same geometry. So when people say, geez, hockey or softball ruins my golf swing, that's normally not the case. So I'm going to cut it short for this week. I want to thank everybody. I want to wish everybody a Happy New Year and many more blogs to come. You never know what's going to show up. One week, again, we might talk about equipment. We might have some guests coming on the show. But wanted to put out some information that hopefully over the winter will help your golf. Thanks. I'm Marty Nowicki, PGA teaching professional at the Turning Stone Resort. Have a good day.